So hockey's been on pause for what seems like a lifetime now, but very soon we're going to be treated to NHL action returning with the playoffs. So we thought who better to get on to discuss some of that than a guy who played in 507 NHL games in total. That is Shaone Morrisonn. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. I'm in Croatia and just kind of waiting for this playoffs to start here to have some summertime hockey. So
Perfect. Well, obviously, like I said, you played in 507 games in the NHL junior career between Boston, Washington, and Buffalo. But one thing, obviously, a lot of us, the closest we'll ever get to being in the NHL is the NHL video games. For you as a junior player playing in Canada, at what point did you start realizing that a career in the NHL was something that could actually happen for you?
I mean, my draft year, there was some buzz, and scouts are coming, and my coach at the time was Dean Evison. He's in Minnesota right now, so he was kind of like telling me, hey, like, you're having a good year, you got a chance here. And I mean, you're just having so much fun in junior with your friends, and you're playing, and playing in the Western League was a big deal. So when the season ended and I saw the rankings come out, I was projected to go in the first round. I was surprised. I was always humble, and we'll see what happens. And so we went to the draft in Florida. I was supposed to get drafted by LA. LA told me we're going to take you 30th. So I was like, okay. So I'm sitting there. I went to the draft with my dad, and a 19th pick came. It was Boston Bruins, and I mean, they were my favorite team growing up. Loved Cam Neely. Was sad when the Canucks traded him, and so I kind of followed with the Bruins were my favorite team. So they ended up picking me, which I was shocked, surprised, because they interviewed me at the draft, and it was like 5 minutes, nothing, not a big deal. And they picked me. I was, shocked. Still can barely remember it, but I got a phone call at the table when I went to meet everyone. It was Sinden and O'Connell and stuff, and it was Cam Neely. He called me and said, "Congratulations! Heard that you always want to, looked up to myself, and you love the Boston Bruins and stuff like that." So that was one of the best moments of my career. I mean, I've never played a game, but just getting drafted by the team that I loved was amazing. So.
And then you go back to the Western Hockey League the next season, and you spend that year with Kamloops. But the following year, you spend the start of the season in Providence with the AHL Bruins, and you also make your NHL debut away from home against Toronto in November of 2002. What was that moment like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. It just was surreal. It just all happened. I mean, I wasn't expecting to get any games, because back then, I mean, the teams were really old, and like there wasn't many rookies, there wasn't many young guys. So yeah, I got the call to play in Toronto. They flew my dad out to watch the game. My aunt was there; she's from Toronto as well. So I mean, I'm playing in Toronto, first game of my career against guys I was watching last year on TV. I mean, it was all just. I mean, it just felt like it was a dream, and it was amazing, and I'll never forget that. I think I played 10 or 11 more games that year, but I mean, I needed more time in the minors. I knew myself I needed more time, and I had a great time playing in Providence as well, and met a lot of great players. My coach was Mike Sullivan, so I mean, he's one of the best coaches to come around, and it was a dream come true, and I couldn't written the script any better. So.
And then the following season, again, you start off in Providence, but the first game of the NHL season for you that year was quite a special one, recording your first NHL point. I think it was December of that year. Do you remember who you assisted a goal on?
I'm going to guess here. I think it was in Washington, and Bergeron was the one who tipped it home. So
that's
in the
correct.
Second period. I remember that. I remember getting the call, coming to, it was called the Verizon Center back then. No, actually it was called the MCI Center in Washington. And then, trying to find the door, trying to get to the room. And then it's just like, boom, you're in, you're playing. And then, I had way more confidence my second year. and Bergie was there. I mean, he had a great camp that year too. I remember seeing this 18-year-old coming out. I was like, oh, he's a stud. And yeah, he scored the goal I assisted on. So yeah, it was an amazing thing. And then, I mean, a couple of months later, I was playing there. So
That's awesome. But a couple of games later, you do one better. You get your first NHL goal, and you get another assist. It was assist on another Bergeron goal. But that first goal, it was New Year's Day. You've just turned 21 as well, so I think people would forgive you if you were a little bit, worse for wear on New Year's Day. But you went out and just got a multi-point game. What was that moment like, scoring your first goal?
Yeah, I mean, I remember it was against I want to say Toronto, and it was Ed Belfour. And yeah, I just remember it was a special moment coming down the slot. I don't even know how I got there. Usually, I mean, I'm not coming down the slot too many times, but I got a good chance and I put it home. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, playing in Boston, favorite team, scoring against like a legend goalie like Belfour, and the guys that were there, like Thornton and Glenn Murray. These guys like brought me in, like they were like family. Let me stay at their house, like take care of me, like I was their own, and it was amazing. And I'll never forget that first goal and playing in Boston. So.
I say, scored against Ed Balfour. That's a pretty good goalie to get your first goal against. Did you get to keep the puck?
I think I kept it, but I'm not a sentimental guy with all the pucks and trophies and stuff. So it's somewhere in my cabin. I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere around there for sure. So I mean, it's probably I'll have to look and find it. But yeah, I mean, they give you the puck. I think they give you a plaque actually in Boston. They put the puck on a plaque and everything, and they present it to you. So I mean, yeah, it was first class organization. Who was there? Scott Bradley was the guy who drafted me, and I think he's assistant GM now. But he was amazing, and I mean, in the end, it was the best thing that they traded me away. I was really upset that I was getting dealt, because it was funny how it happened. But I mean, in the end, it worked for the best.
And you mentioned that you got traded that season. You went to the Washington Capitals, who that season didn't have the best end of the season, but that was the turning point in their franchise, really. The lockout the following year, your first full season in Washington, you're playing with a rookie by the name of Alex Ovechkin. You've got a lot of young players coming through. What were some of your best memories as a member of the Washington Capitals?
Oh, I mean, there's so many different memories that year. I mean, we weren't expected to win, but I mean, we had so much fun. We had Glenn Hanlon as a coach, and we just would go out there, and we just knew like they were going to give us a chance. We had 3 or 4 years just to develop play. Obi was so exciting to be around. Like this, he's just a specimen. He was just like flying around. He would take like 2.5-minute shifts, never get tired. It was amazing to see, and he was just like every time we went on the ice, he did something electric. I mean, I remember that goal in Phoenix that he scored on his back. And the funny thing is, no one really knows. The night before, we had like a rookie party there, so that was our rookie party. Was in Phoenix, and then we had to play the next day against Coyotes, and he pulled that amazing move off. Playing against Coyotes and scored that goal. I mean, they show that highlight all the time. But I mean, we had such a great time playing there. The fans started to come back, and then I think the following year that we changed the jersey, and we really got like some excitement. We didn't do very well the next year coming in, but then they changed coach and brought Boudreau in, and it was, I mean, we were playing on some amazing teams then. So
I'd say the last couple of seasons in Washington, the team were one of the best regular season teams ever in the NHL. They've really turned into a dominant franchise in the regular season over the last 10 or so years. How much fun was it those last few years in Washington, being on such a successful team with some of the guys you mentioned, like Ovechkin, Nick Backstrom, Alex Semin, Mike Green, all these young guys really growing into their careers?
Yeah, it was such a great group. I mean, when Boudreau came in, he really opened up the game for those guys like Greener and Backy and Ovi really were like just let loose, and they could really showcase their skill. I mean, I was there to basically cover Greeny and be back and be the be a defenseman there. So, I mean, but it was an amazing time. We had a really good teams. We didn't make that jump past that second round, and I mean, it was great to see that Wash finally did that. But I mean, those are some of the best teams I've ever been on, and the fans were amazing. They were ecstatic in the playoffs. Like, you couldn't even hear the guy next to you how loud it was in the building. So, I mean, it was fun. Played with some older guys that came in. Fedorov was there, Kozlov, Kolzig was there as a goalie. I mean, just amazing players. They had amazing careers, and yeah, it was a real special time for myself in my career there.
You mentioned about Bruce Boudreau coming in as the coach. Obviously, if anyone's seen the Road to the Winter Classic series the NHL did, they saw that he's a bit of a character. What was he like as a coach?
I mean, he was kind of like the ultimate player's coach. He would come in like he was still playing, you know, and most people don't know he was a really good player, and he put on some big numbers, especially in the minors. But he would come in, he was like one of the guys, and he wanted to know what we were doing on the weekends, what we had for dinner, and who was out late and all this stuff. So he was, I mean, he demanded us to work hard, but he would also reward us. And I think with the group that we had, the young guys and some of the Russian guys, it really was a nice chemistry between him and the players. So guys loved him. I mean, it's unfortunate we couldn't get to the third round in the finals with him, but I mean, I think he'll land somewhere and he'll get his Stanley Cup ring eventually.
And you mentioned some of the Russian guys. It seems as though everyone who's ever played with Alex Ovechkin in particular has an interesting story about him. Do you have any that you can share with us?
I mean, he's very, very interesting. I mean, he is one of the hardest working guys I've ever seen. He likes his energy drinks. He's full of energy. I never seen a guy never take a nap during the after pregame skate. He would never rest or nap. He just had like tons of energy. He could just go all night. Like he's a wild man, but he was amazing. He was an amazing teammate. He's special. He's one of those athletes that come around like not very often, and we're very lucky to be able to see him, and I was very lucky to have one of the best seats in the house to watch him. But I mean, we had Semin, we had Fedorov, we had Varlamov, we had a couple Russian guys. That Semin was, I mean, I think he was maybe even more skilled than Ovechkin. I mean, but Ovi was just all around. Was just the ultimate power forward, leader, wanted to win, and yeah, I mean, you saw him in the playoffs when he had that run. He just took it over. I mean, and not too many guys can do that. So.
And going on to the playoffs now, there's one game in particular I want to ask you about from your careers. Back in 2009, Game 2 of the Eastern Conference semifinals against Pittsburgh. I'm not going to talk about the result of that series, but Game 2, Alex Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby both getting a hat trick. As a player, do you realize how special that game is as it's happening, or are you too focused on trying to get the win?
I mean, it's crazy. Every time we would play Pittsburgh and Crosby, it was like they both put it to another level. And it was like we were just trying to keep up to both of them because it was wild. The media hyped it up, but they didn't even need to hype it up. Those guys are such competitors and always wanted to be the best. It was like that game was like one of the best games I've ever been a part of. And I think like it's still on classic games. They still play it all the time because it's so exciting. So, I mean, we weren't surprised. We weren't surprised with what he was doing. I mean, I just think, I mean, they're both just, raw talents. And, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we didn't win that series, but it was a special series to be a part of.
And then looking more towards the playoffs now, in terms of the difference between a regular season in the NHL and the playoffs, how much of a change in mindset do you need to have to be able to go on such a long, very difficult run to try and put your body on the line to try and basically get the ultimate prize?
Yeah, I mean, I think this year is very unique, and I think mentally it's going to be really hard for players. I think I read today 70 days they're going to be in the bubble there if they go all the way. So, I mean, when we're going through it, you're at home, you have your have your bed and everything like that. So I think it's going to be very difficult on everyone. But I mean, it's even playing field, which will be good. But I mean, it's just you're going to see the level of intensity just skyrocket up because I mean, there's been such a delay. And I think that a lot of people are going to be watching it because there's not much to watch on TV. So I think the players are going to feel like the energy from all that and the hype. And I think it's going to be amazing hockey. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be a grind. And whoever can win this is, I mean, it's going to be a special one. So.
Usually heading into the playoffs, we're always talking about momentum. Teams who may have struggled towards the end of the regular season, you kind of write them off, or teams that have really picked up towards the end, you think they're the ones to go all the way. But obviously there's been such a long break. How difficult is it going to be to get things going in the first game for these teams?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I would probably be interested in seeing who the youngest teams are. I think the younger players maybe will be able to adjust quicker because, I mean, older guys have families, kids. I mean, there's a little bit more going on in your head. But I mean, we could see something different. Who knows? It's like, I mean, it's a bettor's nightmare because you have no idea what's going to go. Everyone's healthy, everyone's ready to go. It's all even now. I mean, you could say Toronto and Edmonton, they have home ice advantage, but I mean, you take the fans out and it's like, I mean, it's a different game because, I mean, you don't get the big hit, the crowd gets behind you, the energy in the building, you feel that. So, I mean, it's going to be very interesting, but I mean, I think it's anyone's ball game now. I mean, obviously you have those top teams that have the buy into the next round will probably be your favorites, but I mean, it's interesting. Anything can happen now. So,
and for you personally as well, going into this as a former NHL, do you have an allegiance to a team like Washington that you spent most of your career with? Are you backing them, or is it more back to Boston, the team that drafted you, the team that you're a fan of growing up?
No, I mean, as soon as I made the NHL my favorite team, I mean, when my favorite team traded me, I kind of, you go with the team that you are. And then now it's like, I mean, when I was done, I always see the guys that I know and I played with and I want them to do well. I mean, there's not many left around the league. It's spread out now, but I mean, I just want to see good hockey. I want to see the teams that, you know, are fun to watch. And of course, you know, I have more ties to Washington. So I'm happy for those guys that I talk to and stuff like that. But, you know, I'm just a fan now. I want to see, you know, a good 70 days of entertainment for everyone and sell the game. And hopefully everyone still stays healthy and we have a good outcome.
And then looking at the bracket in the qualifying round, you have teams like Montreal, New York Rangers who struggle during the regular season, Chicago over in the West. Do you think that this break is going to benefit those teams and think that we may see a low seed go all the way?
It's hard to say. I mean, I think it comes down to goaltending, especially in the playoffs. And I think that, I mean, you can see the teams that are into it that maybe aren't into it. I know Montreal was surprised that they were going to play. They traded a lot of guys at the deadline. So I could see them maybe, you know, not as strong going in. And I think same with Chicago. I know, you know, Taves has spoken about playing again. And so I think it's all about the mental part of the game here with the team, how it's going. But I mean, you never know. I mean, there's a lot of good players, a lot of young guys, a lot of people are probably hungry to play. So, I mean, it's really hard to predict, but I mean, you got to think that Pittsburgh's got to be a favorite coming out of that first round. I mean, I think it'll be tough for Montreal, but the rest are pretty much wide open, I would say. It's hard to pick right now, but you never know. It'll be entertaining and exciting.
Well, just like you, I'm really looking forward to the next 70 days to see who's actually going to win the Stanley Cup. We'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us a little bit of an insight into your career and your thoughts on the NHL. And hope you enjoy the rest of your summer.
Great. Thanks. Same to you.
Thank you.